Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our final chat on our inaugural Insta Live little series that we've got going here. My name is Amanda, and I am the Education Manager of the 16. And this week we have been speaking to members of the 16 and the wider 16 family about the power of song. So here I am, Saturday morning, presenting the last episode. I hope this stirs you on for a good weekend and you get something out of it. I am really excited to speak to another Genesis alum, Sarah Latto, who founded her ensemble, having been one of our conducting scholars in Genesis. But I will let her introduce herself anyway. And I have just seen that she has requested to join. So all going well, we will add Sarah into the chat. Waiting. There we go. Brilliant. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very glad that it worked.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. It sounds quite complicated, but then it's quite straightforward once you understand what it is.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest fear is that my phone was going to run out of battery because it's notoriously bad, but I've got my charger to hand, so.
Brill. We won't be here too long. Hopefully it'll survive. So, Sarah, tell us about sort of how you came into the 16 family and then where Echo grew from.
Yeah, so I was involved with Genesis 16 5, I think, and I was the second conducting scholar. So as part of the year-long scheme, I did the conducting that year. And then as part of that year, I met a lot of amazing singers. And after the year, we decided to carry on working together. And so we've been running as a pro group for about 3 years now, and here we are.
Brilliant. So tell us a little bit about Echo and the sort of music that you're singing and the group of singers that are involved.
Yeah, so from the start, we always wanted to be as open-minded as possible, and we always choose music from a variety of time periods. The way we tend to program concerts is by choosing a theme and then picking music, whether it's 500 years old or 100 years old or 1 year old. We're not kind of at the moment restricting ourselves in terms of genre either. So we have a range of time periods from plain chant to the present day, and then we also will choose pop music if it's relevant, or folk music. So yeah, we're trying to not have genre barriers, basically.
Brilliant. And so you very much were saying we like to choose this. So I guess it's a bit of a collaborative team effort, is it?
Yeah, definitely. I work really closely with my co-artistic director, which is Sam Cobb, who's a soprano on the same year as me in Genesis. And then we've got a whole team of us who work in the group, like Sophie and Lindsay and John, all of us who met doing Genesis.
Brilliant. And so those, how do the themes come about? Is it responding to a bit of art? Is it just a particular time of year? Is it quite random? Be honest, how do they come around?
Well, I think one of the reasons why we're called Echo is because we wanted to, as well as the obvious kind of sound connotations, we wanted to not be in a bubble. So we wanted to kind of reflect what was happening in society. So we wouldn't be scared of approaching politics, or the idea that art is always a reflection of politics in some way. Our first concert was called World's End, and it was about apocalyptic thought. So yeah, I mean, we're always thinking about how the music and what we're doing relates to what's happening at the current moment.
So does that suggest we might get a COVID program soon enough?
Oh, I don't know. I think that might be too depressing for everybody.
Might be a bit of a quiet program.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like 4 minutes 33.
Yeah.
For an hour. No, yeah, I think, I mean, the ecological emergency that we're going through as a world is definitely a big theme, and the part of the composition competition we did last year was setting a text which reflected that theme. So So yeah, we're getting inspiration from different places. It's not always, maudlin though.
Yeah. Great. So tell us about that project, your composer competition.
Yeah, so we it was our first composition competition, which is a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
And we started it last year, launched it last year. And the idea is hopefully we can do them more frequently, like maybe every other year. And we had lots of submissions, had an amazing team of guest judges. So it was Judith Weir judging alongside Robert Hollingworth. And the crucial thing was that the whole thing is anonymous, so that at every stage of the judging process, we couldn't see who had written any pieces, like all the names were blanked out, which I think is really important because I do sometimes feel that there are barriers to young composers in terms of their reputation or their background, perhaps. So yeah, we wanted to make it a free competition and completely anonymous. And we announced the 2 winners last year and a short list of 5. But we were due to premiere the winning works last week, which, as you can imagine, didn't happen, sadly. So instead, we've kind of reimagined the whole project and are going to do it next year with a tour as well, and to incorporate the 5 shortlisted composers. So we've kind of taken that very sad thing that we couldn't do and expanded it for next year, which is hopefully going to go ahead.
Brilliant. So you've already hinted on your sort of imaginative programming and presenting concerts in different ways, and I understand that there's elements of sort of audience participation sometimes in these concerts. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what an audience member might expect at an Echo concert?
We don't want to broadcast it too much and have people too scared to come to the concerts. But we have, one of our main things has been to almost always include the audience in what we're doing, just because we obviously love singing together, and the whole, I mean, part of the series that you've done this week has been about the joy of singing together, in particular making music, and so we always want our audience to be involved in that if possible, depending on where we're gigging. But so that could be something as simple as the audience singing a drone, so just singing a pedal note that we're perhaps improvising around. Or we've done things like a folk song with the audience. We did Skyboat Song in a concert last year. And then it can get more complicated, like we've done Steve Reich's clapping music, where the audience clap the cell which doesn't change, you know, ba, 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 over and over, and we clap the more complicated parts, hopefully, correctly. And yeah, I think it's about getting everyone involved in a non-patronizing way. I think that's really important. You know, lots of people are adults in the audience, and we don't want to act like, you do this and we'll be, you know, professional. It's not like that. It's just about making sure that everyone can get involved in what we're doing.
Brilliant. And how do the audience tend to feel? A bit apprehensive and then it changes, or?
I think they seem happy to me.
Yeah.
I think as long as I said, you're talking to them on their level and not kind of talking down, I think then it kind of brings everyone along. And we often say, you know, you don't have to join in. So anyone watching who might come to a concert in the future, you know, you don't have to join in, but you can if you want to. So that's the caveat.
Brilliant. And so that, as you mentioned, the power of song and particularly ensemble singing is sort of what we've been chatting about this week in the various different ways. And everyone's sort of identified that they've really missed that singing together. And so how, as an ensemble, have you remained connected with each other, but also with your audiences?
Yeah, so it's a difficult one. Everyone's had a tough time, I think, particularly in the music industry and the arts industry. It's been tough, and there's no denying that. I think in terms of reaching out to the audience, we started kind of going through some archive material, so some videos that we hadn't released and some recordings and things, and actually started putting some videos out there which maybe we wouldn't have in the before time. So it kind of, in a way, forced us to take some artistic risks, like so we released this video that we did at the end of a recording day. We'd recorded some Britain and some Pedro de Cristo, and then literally at the end of the day, for about 10 minutes, we did one take of an arrangement that I had done of an Imogen Heap song, Hide and Seek, which was crossed with a beautiful Smith song called There Is a Light. And because we did it in one take, we just didn't have time. You know, it sounded amazing, actually, considering that the singers are so fantastic and they did a brilliant job. But I think there were a few word slips, or, you know, it wasn't perfection. But we decided to release it anyway, and actually it had an amazing response from people. I mean, the first line of the Imogen Heap is, where are we? What the hell is going on? Which I think struck a chord at the current moment in time. So yeah, that yeah, it's basically forced us to take artistic risks with what we're putting out and to be a bit honest about, you know, this is what the group's been doing. And we also released a video of a new British composer, Ben Como. He's written this amazing pastiche Bach fugue, which is titled Donald Trump is a...
Yeah.
And fill in the gap here. But, you know, I would never normally have wanted to release that, but just thought, you know, people will laugh. It's, you know, it's topical, and it's a really well-written piece, and I think we sang it well. So, you know, I think it's about being a bit honest now in terms of artistic content.
Absolutely. And also, just like you just mentioned there, it's just giving somebody somewhere a chance to smile and have a giggle.
Yeah, and it doesn't, you know, it's the classical scene is about so much more than being serious and wearing black. It's about life, and it should be about the whole aspects of life, including silly stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wonder if you can identify, it might be quite a big question, sort of, what do you think is so powerful about the human voice yourself and that sort of singing together? If you could identify one bit of the magic, what would you say it is?
Yeah, I think it's hard to define. One aspect I know for me is very powerful is that it gets me completely out of my head. So I'm not worrying about the next day or worrying about the next week or whatever. I'm just in the moment, and I think that is hugely powerful, to just be in your body and be breathing with other people and singing together. So, you know, I've hugely missed it in this time. I don't think I realized how much I needed it almost, and so have had to, you know, try and find substitutes in other ways.
And do you often, I know you have the singing background yourself, but you're there as a conductor. Do you find you want to be singing with the group as well when you're out at front?
Yes, I love singing, and if I could sing all the time, I would, which I basically do. Anyone who lives with me knows that I'm so annoying to live with because I'm singing all the time. But yeah, I do sometimes sing with the group, but I'd prefer to leave it to the pros rather than to me.
Yeah, brilliant. And I know you, in your sort of improvisation programs, you're really good at identifying sort of the individual powers of music and the emotions that singing and music can sort of stimulate. And I understand you've been doing a bit of work with mindfulness.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two aspects to that. One is the improvisation. We've kind of always done that as a group. And that can be a bit of a shock for us as classically trained choral musicians who are used to having our music here and not necessarily taking it away. So yeah, we've always done improvisation, and I feel that spontaneity is important in performance, and you definitely get that in a classical normal notated setting as well. If it's a good group, like, you need spontaneity in performance, but if there's a performance where the group are doing something and the audience know this is the only time they're going to hear that is quite powerful, I think, for both sides. It's quite thrilling as a performer to actually make something which is just happening there at that point in time. As long as it's not self-indulgent, I think it's important, yeah.
And so do you, as a group, when you're improvising, do you practice any element of it, or do you have a rough structure that you've discussed? Because obviously if you've got 8 to 12 people improvising, that's a huge amount of sort of confidence, and you really need to know each other to know how that's going to work.
Yeah. I think it definitely needs to have some kind of structure to it. So we do rehearse it, and we do talk about the structure of the piece. And every improvisation is different. So it goes from, you know, having a aleatoric score, which is just a score where the singers can choose when to sing whichever part, and therefore every performance is different. Or you can have a melody that everyone knows, like a folk song, "Oh Waly Waly," or a soul song like "Killing Me Softly," and then the rest of the choir, the rest of the group, improvise new harmonies and re-harmonize the piece essentially. So every time we do an improvisation, it does have some kind of structure to it, and we want to start involving the audience more in that as well.
And that really empowers the singers, I guess, individually, for them to sort of have that extra confidence. And I'm sure it's done a lot for their individual singing as well, because it is a completely contrasting thing to, as you say, just reading the score in front of you.
Yeah, I really hope so. I think all of us as singers and musicians, you know, we all have something to give, which is more than just, you know, the amazing quality of someone's voice. Like everyone has their own, yeah, their own art to and creativity to contribute. So I want it to be liberating.
Real, and I'm sure that it's obvious that it will come across to your audience as well and be really liberating for them.
I hope so. We're starting. We did our first improvisation workshop with an audience with a kind of group of 80 non-professional singers
Yeah.
last year, and we're hoping to roll that out as well in the future.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I have been asking sort of all my guests, and I'm sure if you've watched it, you've known if there was sort of one song that you would go and encourage everybody to listen to. It could be a sort of powerful song to set everybody up for the weekend, or it could be a song just to be calm and mindful and around your surroundings. So what are you going to suggest to us? Perhaps it's going to be two.
I think if you want to do like a lift, if I've had some good dances during lockdown, but I feel really, you know, not good after dinner or something, put on some music. I think something like Earth, Wind and Fire, maybe
Brilliant.
September by Earth, Wind and
Love it.
Fire, like that does not fail to get everyone boogieing, or at least
Yeah.
me. You know? So I definitely recommend that for a pick me up dance time in your kitchen or wherever. And then in terms of maybe something a bit more calming, I would say it's so personal to each person, and anything which is nostalgic for you. So anything which is, you know, you maybe listened to when you were younger or like under 18 or something. Like I listened to the Sound of Music soundtrack a few weeks ago, and I literally was transported to like a heavenly joyous place of innocence, which I never thought I'd find again. So yeah, I recommend just anything which takes you back to being a child is just can be so moving and poignant.
Brilliant. And so once we sort of begin to get back to a new normal, what is your hope? What is your plans? What would you encourage people to do if you have a sort of final closing statement for us?
So we have to find that joy in whatever way we can at home, and it's not easy, but I think yeah, just finding joy in small things like getting out of your head basically. So being in the present moment, baking or going outside or moving, just whatever does it for you. So yeah, it's really personal, but just make sure, I think, well, for me anyway, everyone should make sure that they take time to look after themselves a lot
Yeah.
of time, because we're more important than our to-do list or anything else, you know.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you so much for chatting. It's been really lovely to chat and to hear all about Echo's plans. And hopefully, once, as you say, things get back to normal, we'll see some Echo movements and you'll get back singing together with your fam.
Definitely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Amanda, for
No
this.
problem. Thank you so much, Sarah. Bye.
Bye.
Perfect. I'm not sure if we're still recording. I think we are. There we go. I'm just going to finish with a final closing little statement of this was the first time we have done these Instagram lives. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope in sort of whatever, if you've only listened for a few minutes or you've listened to them all, that you will get something and that you will be encouraged to listen to some music or to sing some music if you don't quite have the confidence. You know, put on some powerful music while you're baking or just reading. You know, music is such a great tool for stimulating all these emotions, and it's good to cry, and it's even better to smile and have a dance. So I hope that it's given you a little positive during this difficult time. I am away to take some antihistamines as it's hay fever central today, and of course I hope you all have a great weekend. I want to leave with a little funny. A colleague messaged me and said, wow, Maddie, you have such a great array of headbands. So I had to find a different headband for today, but there will be no more headbands for a while. But we will come back with more of these. It's been really great for me to chat to our wider 16 family and get to know what the amazing work that people are doing across the country, to bring singing into the community and to shout about the power of song. So if anybody would like to join one of these chats in the future or just have any thoughts, do get in touch. We're here, we're an open book. We love to collaborate in all the work that we do. So that's a goodbye from me, and we will see you very soon, and I hope you have a great Saturday. Bye.